thought the offensive line played really well. Even the one sack we gave up was just a miscommunication between the receiver and the quarterback. It should have been a completion. So I thought they played really well. I thought the tight ends played really well in the run game. On the D-line, I thought our D-line played well. We still have to improve our four-man rush. I'm going to say that until it's elite. Obviously, that's a challenge this week. But, we played a lot of three down. And I thought those guys played really hard. Ty Robinson was everywhere. I thought he played probably one of the better games I've seen him play. So I thought the guys all played pretty well.
You played over 100 guys in that game. I mean, have you been a part of many games in your career where you've been able to get that many kids into a game? And what can that do just to build what you're trying to build here?
Yeah, it's always one of my goals every year is to make sure everyone who can play plays. And so, I think it builds, it builds a sense of, hey, I can do this for some guys. Like they get in there and they're like, oh, I'm a much better player than I thought. Or it rewards guys for their effort, and I think it shows a team that cares about each other when, like Carter Nelson caught that first naked, and the timing was a little off. Really, the ball usually goes to Jamal, but Carter got out a little quickly. And then if you watch the play, Jamal just sprints and turns up and blocks someone for Carter. And then he goes over and kind of celebrates with him. And it was like, as I said to the team, it's so much easier in my job when I can show what it looks like to be a great teammate. So when the guys at halftime made a decision to come out and play really well early on and get those other guys in, and I don't know that I've ever done it with 5 minutes left in the third quarter, put all the twos in, but I thought it was really important for the development of our team that a lot of those guys get a chance to play. When you have you have a chance to put Heinrich in. He's a starting caliber quarterback, right? So you saw, it was an 87-yard drive that he led. So, but yeah, anyway, it was really good to get everyone in. And I think most years we've been able to do that, just weren't able really to do it last year, but hopefully we'll do it again at some point.
You got to Shedeur a lot last year, but he showed his toughness. What stands out to you about him as a quarterback and what you got to deal with this week?
Well, he's got a big-time arm. He can use all 53 and a third yards of the field, right? He can throw the ball from sideline to sideline. He's got a great feel for the pocket. He moves in the pocket. He can hurt you with his feet, but he slides in the pocket to find guys that are open. He's got excellent weapons around him. They ran the ball well this past game. And he's courageous and tough. He's an elite competitor. You're probably facing two of the first 5 guys drafted in the draft this week, so he'll certainly be up there.
What are your impressions? When you look at that receiver room for Colorado, what are you feeling about?
They've got great players. They're fast, athletic, explosive. To me, 5 is a difference maker. Obviously, 12, Travis is playing both ways, which is amazing. But to me, 5, dominates the middle of the field. And they brought in, 10 from FAU who, had a ton of catches, and he's excellent. And 14 has a bunch of catches. So you have a quarterback who can make all the throws. So they can spread you out, open up the run game, utilize the receivers in the RPO game. So when you try to pressure, they always have answers. And they've got guys who can, everyone thinks of speed is running this way. These guys can run across the field and run away from man coverage. So, they're excellent players.
Obviously, both teams' rosters are kind of different from last year's game, but how much can you look at film from last year and translate it to this week? Well,
they have 2 new coordinators. So, it's a different offense and a different defense, So we spent a lot of summer watching the Bengals defense and, just watching, Coach Livingston, where he's come from. And obviously Coach Shermer's been doing this for a long time, a guy that I respect a lot and know. So, you can go back to last year and see, some of the players and what they do, but I don't think there's any secrets here about what they're capable of. They've got dynamic playmakers. They've rebuilt the offensive line. They're big, they're physical, and defensively, they play man coverage. They pressured a bunch in the second half, to slow down North Dakota State, and they play really, really hard. Warren Sapp's their D-line coach. They play really hard up front, so they fly around. So they've got really good players, and they've got a really well thought out scheme and well coached team.
I know that you had a chance to watch Dylan on tape. How do you feel like he played fully on Saturday, and how prepared do you think he is for the big moment on this Saturday?
I think Dylan played really well. I thought he played a complete game. Thought he did a good job in the run game. Thought he did a good job in the checks game. I thought there were a couple communication things just in general, whether it was, the headset kind of being hard to hear, whether it was checks getting out to the receivers or the right check. There was a couple of small things, but not much. I thought he was clean in the pocket, protected the football, and still showed a level of aggressiveness that we want. So gave his guys a chance. I mean, like I said, 8 seconds left. We took a shot at the end zone, and I mean, we want to try to go make those plays. So I thought he did a really nice job. In terms of this weekend, kind of the basis of our program is we don't treat any game differently than another in terms of our preparation. If you prepare more this week than you did last week, then what were you doing last week? So Dylan he'll double down on his process and practice hard and get ready for the game and go out and play, and we'll go play as hard as we can, and I'm sure he'll lay it all on the line.
What have you found about, now that you've seen it in a game setting, the helmet communications, and of course you have an advantage of being at home because it's not as loud, but what kind of a factor can that crowd noise be potentially in a game when they're trying to communicate?
Yeah, the crowd noise is a real. I think even as I watch college football, you see a lot of guys that are putting their hands over their ears. College games just have a tendency to be a lot louder than a lot of NFL games. NFL stadiums are 65,000. There's some college games can be 85, 90, 105,000 people, right? It's metal stadiums, built differently, reverberating, less skyboxes. It's just night and day. Like I said, I had to switch my headset. I had to go from the single to the double just to have a chance. Plus it's the first time being used. You go out and test them, then you bring in all the TV trucks and Wi-Fi and all the stuff that everyone uses, and it starts to mess with the frequencies. So now hopefully this week it'll be a little cleaner, but it was loud. I think the one great thing is it lets our fans know that they have an impact. I mean, the very first, I think, third down, the opponent last week false started. So that's a traditional way. But I think on the TV copy, Allison Williams did a nice job where she was listening to their headset and showing, they were actually coaching the plays, like where to throw it. They weren't making checks for them. They were going in motion saying, hey, throw it, hand it. They were coaching the game for them. We're not doing that. And that's great what they're doing. I'm saying in general, how loud we can be in a stadium really impacts the game. So it's not just, hey, third down, trying to make them jump off sides anymore. Now it's like make it really hard for them to hear the play calls and the checks, because it was hard for us at times.
So in theory, if you go fast enough, they can coach you all the way up to the snap.
Yeah, so when the Rams drafted Jared Goff, you can go up to 15 seconds, right? There were a lot of people said like they would basically get on the line, and instead of looking at the sideline holding it up, like Coach McVay, I'm calling him Sean like I know him, Coach McVay would help him make the checks right up until 15 seconds. So it was their way of kind of getting in the right play. Now people, as they learn it, they're doing that. They hold their defense till 15, and then they make their check. But there's a lot of things you could do. Like you could say, hey, throw it over here. Hey, it's man, go here. So we're not really doing that. We're given the same parameters. Like hey, like last week it was, hey, if they're a big zero blitz team. Hey, if it's zero now, don't be afraid to go to this. Hey, if you get this, go. If you get man zero, go to this, and then we put it on Dylan to see it. But yeah, you certainly could do that. So that's why again, I say it again. I thought our crowd was awesome. I'm not saying that so like, hey, they come back next week. I'm saying that like, hey, the louder we can be every week, it's really important because Coach Saban on game day was talking about the difference. If you can't go on the clap and you have to start doing the hand signal and look to the side, the D-line gets an amazing jump. Like all these things matter, which is why, years when, however many home games you have in other stadiums really matters, right? Like, some teams in college football that'll play 3 home games in a non-alternate site. We'll play 5. That's when you go to a place that's loud, it's hard.
Hey, Matt, Colorado and Nebraska kind of similarly situated as far as trying to bring their programs back to where they were maybe years ago. What do you think of the notion of this as kind of being a measuring stick game just for both? I mean, if you're looking at it from, I guess, the outside perspective.
Yeah, I don't think that way. This is our second game, so we're going to try to make an improvement from last week. I thought the guys handled last week great. I think every day is a measuring stick for us in our program. Like every day we're trying to see where we are, and so, we'll play the game, and we'll come in on Sunday, whatever the result is, and we'll get better, for week 3. So that's literally all I can say. I mean, we are as day by day right now as we've ever been in a program.
I was talking to a Colorado media member who referred to the game as a clash of cultures, programs, because they operate differently. Do you see it anything like that?
Not at all. I think They're a competitive culture. You know, they go recruit and get the best players they can get. They do well in school. They don't get in trouble off the field, and they compete. I respect it with what they do.
What were your impressions just of the Colorado-Nebraska rivalry, kind of going through one the first time, just between the two fan bases, how much the game means?
Oh yeah, my wife and I, we went skiing this year in Beaver Creek, and just we were kind of sent the kids up, and we met some friends, and we were sitting down like hanging out, and this young lady walked up to me and she said, are you Coach Rhule from the Huskers? And I was like, oh, I thought I was a Husker fan. I said, yeah. And she said something to me I can't repeat it out loud. And her boyfriend was like, oh, sorry, Coach. I was like, nah, hey, this is what's great about college football, right? We love rivalries. We love all of that. So this is a long-established rivalry, and I think it's great for the game. I think it's great for us. It's great for our university. You know, people all across the country are going to tune in this week to see this football game, and they'll see our fan base. They'll see the class with which we play. They'll see two great teams compete. They'll see our campus. You have enough games like this, and admissions starts, applications start to go up, and admissions start to go up, and good things start to happen. You know, watching the game last week, look that's happened at Colorado. So I think the rivalry's great. And yes, as we went through this process, as I was showing my family Nebraska, I was showing them, those games. Like, you get on YouTube, and the algorithm starts sending those things. So we were watching all these old games, and so it was a great rivalry that I grew up on, and it's a lot of those rivalries are dead now. So it's great to play it.
For a second, when you do motivate a team, you've thought about motivational speeches over the years. How do you choose to motivate your players, and how often do you use negative stimulus, like people don't believe in you or things like that?
I think I don't really know that I psychologically think about it. It's really more like I try to speak from my heart and try to talk about where we are. But I mean, like we played them last year and we fumbled the ball 5 times. So like, what speech mattered? Like, I have an idea. Like, don't turn the ball over. Or make a better decision here, right? Like, at the end of the day, it was something as simple as snap timing on motion, right? And then the world says, like, well, why are you guys motioning so much? No, why don't we just motion the way we do in practice in the game? So I'm an incrementalist. I don't look at these major things. I just look at like, hey, we've got to. So like, I looked at the game like yesterday. I told the team, everyone says, control the controllables. We said, right? I say, correct the correctables. Like, what are the things that needed corrected? We didn't tackle great in this Bass game. We took bad angles. We gave up a big play again. We had several different issues, and so like we have to correct those things. So I just look at this as like a really good football test for two teams that have plans on being good teams and want to be relevant at the end of the year. That they're going to play us, we're going to play them, and like we're not even in the same conference. So while I know it matters to people, and it matters to us, and it matters to them, we're going to see where we are. And so I'm just trying to get the football right and nothing else. Like, I'm not going to not wear black this week, or like I'm not going to not say their name. I mean, I'm worried about our team. Like, literally, are we going to operate on third down? Are we going to have good, are we going to play good football? And to play the way we played last week and have 3 penalties, I mean, that was a step in the right direction for University of Nebraska. But we got to do it again. And so if I start going on those different things, but that being said, I'm human. There's times I say I believe in this, and even I will jump away from it and be like, hey, we got to, I just haven't found that that's always worked. It might work once or twice a year, and at moments it might work, but, I think really just, especially in today's society where like everything motivational is already, especially when you're in Nebraska, everything motivational is already on Twitter. Like everyone's, excited, which is great. I'm just going to keep bringing the guys back to like, hey guys, let's execute. Let's play third down. Let's protect the football. Let's not fumble on the 7-yard line. Like, for all we've talked about not fumbling, we fumbled on the 7-yard line. And so we have a lot more work to do here.
Do you find that guys are good in the last 48 hours and coming back to what you're talking about there and not?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. I don't mean to cut you. I think we've been great. Like, this team's been, it's an older veteran team, right, for the most part, and they've been through a lot. And, they understand that the process works. Like, there's nothing scientific about what we do. Like, you show up each week, you prepare, you practice, you go to meetings, you're coachable, you take care of your body, you lift, you hydrate, you sleep. You get to the end of the week, you get yourself mentally ready, knowing what to do, you get yourself emotionally ready, excited to play, and then you go to the game, you try to play one snap at a time, stay in the moment, don't get distracted, and be great teammates. So, I think our guys understand that it's not all this other stuff anymore, right? They kind of understand it's just this. And so, you know, the trials we went through last year, starting off 0-2, getting blown out by Michigan, practicing the next day, winning a couple in a row, and then having a tough end, I think has really matured these guys. And so they understand it's going to come down to our ability to cover, rush, block, tackle, you know, get open, things like that. So a really good group.
How would you assess the running back room now? Is it any differently? And the second part is now what with Dante Dowdell?
Yeah, no, Dante's going to keep playing. I put Dante back in after. Now, he had to sit for a while. He had to feel it for a little bit, but I put him back in. I think it's really weird. Like, you know, as much as I say I'd like to have one, I really like the feeling of it on Saturday. And you know, one thing I do is I always watch the TV copy the next morning. Because, you know, we watch the all-22 copy. You're sitting there, you're so upset that someone's foot went 45 degrees step at 3 inches too wide. And you're like, what are we doing? And the details matter, but I think you have to feel the game, right? And you have to, especially when you watch the TV copy, you can feel this. I always watch the opponent's TV copies. I watch ours. You can hear the game, hear how it sounds if you're hitting people, if you're running to the ball, if you're striking, if you're, you know, you can hear your cadences. Well, I liked the way it felt that, like, it was really hot out there. And thank goodness we were on the cooler sideline. And you know, they were going fast, and we were getting 3 and outs, and they were staying on the field a lot. So to be able to keep putting different backs in there that were fresh, I kind of enjoyed it. So, you know, we had certain roles, obviously, you know, Amir and, Ramir and Emmett were like the sub backs, the third down backs. You know, the big backs went in on short yards and goal line, and then we mixed them. And so I think we do that for another week. You know, we'll just keep doing that. You know, because I like kind of where we're at right now.
Back to the tight ends for a minute. When did you know that Luke Lindenmeyer was going to be as good of a devastating a blocker as he was?
You know, I think it wasn't in the first spring that I was here. I think it was really like middle of the year last year. You know, I think he really started to develop some confidence. And as we went to more of the I formation stuff, he was more of the on-the-line blocker. And I thought he just did a really excellent job with that. And he's just developed, you know. So he's got great hands. He does everything right. But he's really an excellent blocker and competes at it. And, yeah, so I think he's one of those guys that's just really elevated himself since we got here. And he played well the year before we got there. He played a little bit before we got here. So I thought, you know, he played well. But I thought last year, and now he's just, to me, he's off and running.
And how much has Thomas Fidone just grown as a blocker and the time?
Yeah, Fidone's an excellent blocker. You know, I know you're playing tight. You know, you want to catch the ball a ton. I get it, and we want him to catch the ball. You know, we kind of have a goal of getting him. I think we maybe got him 5 targets and a couple more that, you know, the game kind of got over early. But I thought Thomas, he's so athletic. He can pull around and be that second puller on counter when we do run that. He can split out and be a wide out and block the perimeter on some of the perimeter stuff that we do. So it's hard to find a guy with Thomas's athleticism who can both play as a wide out and then play as a fullback, really, right? And then put his hand on the line. Like, that's the one step direction we've gone with Fidone now. Now he's playing in a 3-point stance on the line, reaching ends. So which will be a big thing. These guys, you know, they have great edge players, so they set edges. So having the ability to get on the line and, you know, try to reach somebody that plays with